Okay, so the emotional level of consciousness. So we all know that the emotional level, as I had said, is the bridge, the gateway, the doorway into spiritual understanding. So what happens in a constellation, I think everybody has this experience. You start out with the lower emotions. I blame my sister. I love my sister. I have the best relationship with her. But she allows me to share. Or I could say, I could say my mother, my grandmother. In my own life, my mother's father disappeared when she was 9 years old. She never saw her father again. So my whole family experience, my mother's whole life experience was shadowed by the fact that her father disappeared from her life and she never saw him again. To this day, I've tried to track down my grandfather. I cannot find him. But that overshadowed everything. And her relationship to the masculine, my relationship to the masculine in some way, and my relationship to the feminine. So when I stood across my grandfather, my mother's father, in a constellation, boy, did I feel anger and resentment. Did I judge him? Did I feel the conflict inside of me? Did I even feel hatred for him abandoning my mother, who I love deeply, because I chose her, because I chose this family, because I'm a soul that chose my incarnation and chose this family. But I felt those emotions. But as I moved in a constellation across the field, physically in the room across from him, through my resistance, through those lower emotions, I began to shift as I went through the mental, the emotional, and finally could feel the soul agreements that he had with my mother and how that was tied into other generations further back. And how she wouldn't have immigrated to the United States after World War II, after being bombed out in the Blitz, and him going to Australia, and her being abandoned, that she wouldn't have left and come to America and met my father and had me so I could stand here today. Thank you, grandfather. Yeah. By moving through the levels of consciousness, through the aspect of acknowledging my grandfather and all that happened between him and my mother, accepting him for what happened, and agreeing to it, and moving through the levels of a consciousness so I could get to the higher levels of emotions where I had understanding. I had acceptance for what happened. I could feel compassion for him and what he must have gone through, and what he felt for abandoning his daughter and his wife also. And then I could feel the love and the joy and the pleasure and a sense of peace. And then somewhere inside of me, that wave of emotions came, and I could feel his presence and his support and his pride for me moving the lineage forward and claiming him and bringing him back. We all know that Family Constellations is a lot about inclusions. Welcome. So bringing him back into my lineage, reclaiming my grandfather. So in Constellations, we move through the levels of consciousness, through the emotional levels, through the lower emotions, to the higher emotions where we can feel the acceptance, the agreement, and the peacefulness. And we can agree to it all. I could finally agree to my father's absence in our lineage. And then I had the soul connection with him, and I then got these soul understandings of a larger perspective of what he did, how it helped our whole family lineage, and the effect of it. So take a moment. That's my personal story, or one of my personal stories, but I hope it helps you understand the process of moving through the emotions in relation to another to get to the level of soul.